I've made a lot of videos in the past, and like the main theme of like my YouTube or my TikTok is I just look at YouTubers or streamers. They do dumb things a lot, and I point and laugh and say like how dumb they are. But I think this YouTuber has like topped all of them by far by crashing his plane for a YouTube video. Now he says it was accidental, but he's been charged for it and he's faced up to 20 years in jail. And not even for crashing the plane, for everything that happened afterwards. So we're going to get into it. But like first off, there's two people on the internet you don't want to mess with just because they're like ultra nerds. Like people think like Marvel people are like super nerdy and like super pedantic and like pick everything apart. People who are worse than that are train nerds and plane nerds. They spend so much time learning everything about every kind of plane, make and model, how things work, all the regulations, all that. Like they go like above and beyond like any other nerds I've ever met. So don't try to like fool them because they're gonna call you out almost instantly, which happened to this guy. So a year ago, he decided to do a video where he was going to spread his friend's ashes, which looked kind of sus, but I'm not going to question that. Hopefully he didn't fake spreading his friend's ashes because that would be like a really scummy thing to do. But he did a video of him trying to do that, and oh no, his engine stops. And like if you don't know, like when your engine stops, what you're supposed to do is like you pull out a binder and you start doing checklists. Everything in a plane ever has a checklist, and you follow that checklist and it'll restart your engine, or it'll tell you the best course of action if you can't get your engine started. And like if you don't know, planes, they're built to fly. They want to stay in the air, so like they'll glide and they'll like slowly go down, and there's calculations you can do. And then if you've ever played a video game, you've also probably done this, you can like dive down deeper, get some speed, and climb back up, and it'll just keep on doing that, so you can extend the distance your plane will fly until you can find some place that is safe to land. What you don't want to do is what this guy did, which was essentially nothing at all, just kind of like try to steer the plane a little bit and keep looking at the door like he wanted to jump immediately. I mean, he could have maybe cut the footage of him like doing all his checklists to try to get started again. However, in the end, he decides to just like bail out. And luckily for us, he decided to grab his GoPro and his emergency to get like the best view possible. And like, so first off, a pilot with a parachute should be like a major red flag. Like pilots, as far as I'm aware of, don't do that. Even in like small planes, like there's just no reason to. Because like the reason why you don't want to bail from your airplane is because you're responsible for it. And if you bail from the airplane, it obviously flies in the air by itself with no control and crashes wherever you want to. Now, luckily, this guy decided to do this fake video in like a relatively safe spot, so no one was injured. However, when you bail out of the airplane, you lose all control, so you have no idea where that plane is going to go, which is why pilots stay in the plane to try to guide it down so it doesn't put anybody else at risk. And of course, because this was the internet, people were able to figure out where he was exactly in the mountains and where he flew over, so they knew that he could have easily made it to a safe spot to land. Because if there wasn't a runway nearby, luckily there was a large open field that he could have easily landed at that had plenty of space for his airplane. So there was no reason to ditch. This genius then lands somewhat safely in the mountains. He gets scraped up because the mountains are covered in trees and bushes and stuff, so he gets a couple scrapes and bruises, but nothing like serious. So then after landing, he walks toward his plane. Now obviously we know now it was there to pick up all the GoPros and stuff to get all the footage so he could make his video, which was kind of weird. Like, I guess he could have like been going to the plane to try to see if his radio is working, because for some reason he didn't radio to anybody or attempt to radio to anybody. But no, we found out later he was just going there to grab the cameras to get all the footage. And then he goes on to complain about like how, oh, he had like a jug of water in the plane and now it's gone. He's so screwed. He's in the middle of nowhere. Like, is he going to survive? Because how is he going to walk out of this place without any water? Now, luckily, he starts hiking throughout the mountains and comes along a stream where he says this.
It's never felt so good to see and taste water.
Which is funny looking back at it now, because he was like walking through the hills for like at most like 8 hours, and this was all planned in the first place, so he knew he was gonna have to do this. And now he's just risking getting some kind of weird infection just for a video. But yeah, eventually he keeps on walking for like 30 more minutes and he comes across car on the road who picks him up, and he tells his like harrowing story of how he survived a plane crash. And thank God he was wearing his parachute, because he always flies with his parachute, which is probably like the only pilot in history who does that, other than like fighter pilots. And unsurprisingly, that video worked. It got like 3 million views as it came out. Like now over the years, it's got up to 4 million views, especially since he's been now charged. But like all his videos before that were only getting like tens of thousands of views. So this was obviously like a hit video and great. But then he just kind of stopped posting videos afterwards. So it kind of seems like it was pointless. And like the craziest thing out of all of this so far is like I've tried to look it up. And so obviously you aren't supposed to crash a plane where there is no control of the plane, because you don't know where the plane is going to crash. And that puts everybody in public at risk. But there doesn't seem to be like any laws about intentionally crashing a plane. Like there's legal ways to do what he did. He just didn't do them. Like he could have done it legally and just faked it even more, because he already faked this video of like an engine stalling. So he could have just faked it even more and just not expose that he did it legally, that he was working with the proper authorities to get this done legally, because people have legally crashed planes before. You just have to make sure it's going to land in a zone that has no people and that you pay for the cleanup. But he's not even getting charged for the plane crash. A lot like Bill Clinton did get in trouble for the blowjob, he got in trouble for covering up the blowjob. This is exactly what happened to this guy. So he crashed the plane, and then 2 days later informed the safety board that he did crash the plane. He said it was an accident. However, he went back to the crash site with his friend, towed the plane to a hangar, and then started destroying parts of the plane and hiding the parts in trash cans at the airport, along with other places. And then when he started getting investigated, he admitted to doing that, which is a big no-no, because what he got charged for was doing exactly that. He pled guilty to 1 count of destruction of concealment with intention to obstruct a federal investigation. So he's not in trouble for crashing the plane. He's in trouble for trying to hide the fact that the plane crash was intentional. And unfortunately for him, the charges carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in federal prison. However, this is like maximums. He's probably not going to get the maximum, but I don't know. The FAA may take a hard stance against this, and like I don't know how much control they have over this, but they may want to see like stricter punishment for this, so more people don't do this, because it obviously gets you views. But I mean, I guess we'll see. Hopefully his internet fame for like a day worked, because he gave up YouTube shortly after. So I don't know, potentially 20 years in jail for 4 million views and then quitting YouTube doesn't really seem like it's worth it to me.